if you've been shown a 214B visa rejection when you went for your F1 visa interview, or if you're just someone who's trying to avoid that situation, that you don't want to be put in a situation where you get a rejection, then this video is for you. I'll cover all the important aspects of what comprises of basically the rules to getting a rejection. And if you can understand that, hey, if I do these things, then I may get a reject, then potentially you can avoid these things and you can ensure that you do not go ahead and get yourself a visa rejection. The 214B slip is something that you should never receive in your life, and I'm gonna be making sure that your next attempt at the visa application center, wherever you go for the, whichever consulate you attend, you do not see that again. All right, so if that's something that interests you, continue watching. Alright guys, so one of the most important things that you need to know what the 214B really means, it's sort of like a section under the US government's law, and what it really says is that every alien is someone who is who is not a resident or a basically citizen of the US, so you're an alien as of now. So every alien is presumed to be an immigrant until he establishes to the satisfaction of the consulate officer otherwise. All right, so you need to prove to the officer that, hey, I'm going for a non-immigrant visa, and yes, I actually am a non-immigrant. I do not wish to be an immigrant, because otherwise they'll assume that yes, you are, and that's the default. All right, whenever someone comes in front of them, they'll think that, all right, this person may be an immigrant, and they have to prove it to me that they will not be looking to settle down in the US. All right, so you have to prove to them that, hey, I'm going for a non-immigrant visa because I am actually qualifying to be a non-immigrant, and there's really no other qualification. You just have to prove to them verbally through the conversation. There's really no document that you can show over here, unfortunately. Okay, and this is the major reason, guys. I'll tell you now all the potential reasons. There's 5 potential reasons that I can think of right now that you may have gotten, or you may see someone get a 214B refusal. Now those reasons, I want you to understand them very, very well. Pay attention, because once you actually get to understand these reasons, potentially you will be able to avoid the issues that happen. Okay, number 1, failure to show strong ties to your country. This is the maximum cited reason, and you will find this anywhere you go online. If you go ahead and post your interviews case, maybe if you got a rejection, you post it online, you will find people saying, hey, you did not show strong ties to your country. This is the most common one, and guys, you need to show strong ties. It could be, now again, I've posted my interview experience, I've posted interview experiences of other clients as well, but generally showing strong ties can be basically anything. You can show that, hey, your family business is over here and you are the only heir to it, so you have to go ahead and take over the business someday. Or maybe that you have maybe your parents over here, they're near retirement and they need your support in some way or the other, not just financially, of course, in other ways. Personally they need your support. There's a lot of ways to show it. Again, I've done it for a lot of people, I can do it for you as well. As of now, we'll move on to the next reason, and that is lacking finances. If you show that you do not have enough finances, or there's less income flow coming in than the amount you need to pursue your degree, then you may need to seek employment in the US in order to actually pursue your program. And what that means is that you may be an immigrant, and that's why you may get a rejection. The third reason, ulterior motives for travel. That means non-educational, purposes. You may be going over there to just settle down, to get employment. And that's the extremely important part, guys. Always keep that in mind. You want to stay away from any kind of employment, any kind of reasons for employment. You should always show that you have enough money, even if you're borrowing it from the relatives. That's what you want to show. Okay, now this can also happen if you are basically going to a university which is charging very, very low, which is very badly ranked, and which is charging you maybe even just $5,000 to $10,000 per annum. And I'm not saying this is with scholarship, without scholarship. If this is their tuition scheme, then this is something that almost anyone can afford, and you're probably looking to go to the US and be over there instead of just going there for your educational purposes. Okay, the fourth cause that I see a lot again is that mentioning that and this is people dig their own graves over here. They say mentioning that hey, I'm interested in working in one of the top MNCs, top tech consulting firms, and I think that the US would be the best place to go ahead and get employment for that. you just dug your own grave. That means that, no matter what, you're going to be walking away from this interview with a 214B rejection. So yeah, avoid that. Avoid any sort of employment. You do not need a job. You do not care about it. At least at the time of the interview, you don't. Okay. The number 5 point is inaccurate DS-160. If you're lying on your DS-160, if you're inconsistent on the visa interview day with the details that you filled up on your DS-160, you're probably going to see a rejection. And for those of you who do not know what a DS-160 is, it's a form that you'll have to fill up basically for when you're applying for an F1 visa. And you can take a look at it over here. I've just put in a sample over here. Basically, it's going to ask you a lot of information about your profile. Hey, whether you've traveled in the past, whether you have relatives in the US, whether, what kind of school you're attending, what kind of program you're attending, what is your passport status, what kind of, hey, maybe have you ever had some sort of a, issue with the police in your country? Have you ever had, basically, have you ever been caught doing drugs or something like that, so all of these things are asked. What is your date of birth? Of course, all the personal details and a lot more information is asked from you in here. So it's generally a very lengthy form and people do not like filling it up, but this is the basis of your whole visa interview, guys. What kind of employment you hold, what are you doing right now, what are your plans for the future? All of these things are covered in this simple form right over here. And this is a long form, guys. It takes hours to fill it up. But again, this form is basically 50% of the work done. That's all there is. All right, this is also important, and 50% importance you can give to your actual visa interview. All right, so these are the most important things that you need to take care of. All right, now I'll tell you about things that don't help. A lot of people have these myths that providing more documentation will help their case. It will help them grab the visa somehow. Not interested. No, it won't help. It really isn't the right way to go. You're thinking the wrong direction over here. So I would say try avoiding that. As long as you have given out a sufficient amount of documentation to prove your finances, to prove your, maybe your scores if they're asking for them, to prove your CGPA, whatever it is, you have to just prove the basic details, but nothing more than that. And that too, sometimes the officer won't ask for that. A lot of times, even in my interview itself, they did not ask for any financial documentation. So keep that in mind. Okay, now I'll tell you about the things that do matter, and we'll end the video with these things. It's important that you understand what are the things you should be focusing on. If you've gotten a reject, don't worry. There's still a chance. You can still go ahead and get an acceptance for the F1 visa interview, but these are the things that you should be focusing on. Okay, number 1 is your visa interview. This is the most important part of the process. Do not disregard it. The way you react, the way you interact with the visa officer, the consulate officer, and the way you talk to him is probably of more importance than anything else over here. As long as your documentation is right, the only important part is the way you react, the way you portray yourself, the kind of applicant you are. So a lot of people make mistakes over here. Sometimes they get frozen up, they can't speak, or they make mistakes while speaking. That's gonna hurt you guys. That's gonna hurt you a lot. So you should stop doing that and make sure that you're not wasting time of the interviewer as well. Don't give too long answers. All of these things I've already covered in my previous videos. Answers should be a particular length, and yeah, as long as you're doing that, you're good to go. All right. The next thing is the ability to prove strong ties to your country. Again, I said this is the most important part, so you should watch some of my previous videos to see how you can do that. The next one, enough finances. Like I said, you need to have enough finances. I would say 1 to 1.5 times the I-20 amount, because that's the 1-year tuition, right? So 1.5 times the I-20 amount is a pretty safe way to go if you can show that much in liquid funds, guys. Don't show properties or stocks usually, because these things, even though stocks are liquid at times, their value keeps fluctuating. The property also, you don't really know whether you're going to be able to sell it or not. So yeah, all of these things matter, and you should definitely try to show liquid funds like fixed deposits, provident funds, maybe hard cash, whatever you have lying around. You should definitely show some of these things. Okay. Then there's proof of genuine interest in the program. This program that you're going for at this university should genuinely help you. It should not be a program that you're just going for, you have no direction in life, because that's something that is a red flag. That just means that you want to go to the US and you really have no cause for why you're going for this particular program. Why not something else? Why not do something else in your country, right? So that's important. Another thing, guys, confidence matters most in the interview. If you are not confident, if you are very hesitating during the interview, you're not really sure what to say, they again, people do not usually like that. That's kind of a red flag for the people who are evaluating you as well on the other end, because they think that this person is not confident. There may be something fishy going on. Okay. The next thing, your DS-160, as I already told you, it's one of the most important documents. Make sure you're filling it up right. It should be accurate. It should have the accurate information. It should not have any blunders. Now, I can't personally check every single one of your DS-160s, but yes, make sure that you're not performing any blunders, such as telling them that you have been jobless for 5 years, 4 years, and there should be a reason what you have been doing. There should have been something that tells them, all right, this person has been maybe working on some research on his own or doing something. Really, these sorts of things matter as well. Okay, the next thing is that when you're doing the DS-160, there's a section that you have to tell them, all right, what's the additional point of contact. Okay, so when it comes to the point of contact, it's really about showing only the people who are maybe from your country. Do not try to show them people from the US itself, because that can cause issues again. That shows that you already have people living in the US, and what that means is you're probably looking to go ahead and settle with them. All right, show point of contact from your country itself. And finally, when you're showing the relatives, right, when you go ahead and show the relatives, there's another section on the DS-160. You have to show who else is a relative of yours that's already in the US. Now, as long as it's not your brother, your parents, your parents, siblings, maybe your spouse, that's it. These are the closest people, and you do not need to go ahead and widen the boundary more than that. If these people are not in the US, then it's good enough. You do not have to write about your aunts, your uncles. People do all of these mistakes. They would write about their far off relatives. It's not gonna help your cause, guys. You do not want to do that. All right, so these are the most important things. Now it comes, how do you go ahead and deal with this situation, that when you will go for the next visa interview, the officer will probably ask you, hey, I see that you've already appeared for a 214B, the F1 visa interview before, and you received a 214B rejection. So what's that all about? Why are you applying again? Is there a significant change in your application this time as compared to last time? Because that's the actual reason. You cannot apply without it again and again. So in general, you should say, if there's no change in documentation, personally, you should say that, hey, the last time I appeared for the interview, I was issued a 214B slip, but I believe there was some miscommunication on my end due to which this may have happened. That's why I'm applying again. Do not, and I repeat, do not put the blame on the consulate officer that, hey, that consular officer did not understand me, or I think he was not able to communicate with me well, or something like that. He was not able to comprehend me. Don't put the blame on the consulate officer, because remember, you're again talking to another consulate officer. All right, so if you're bad mouthing someone from their team itself, that's not going to leave a good impression, guys. All right, just take the blame, take the fault, say that it was my mistake, I may have miscommunicated my situation, and I'm not really sure what happened. I figured that it's worth trying again, because I do have a strong interest in the program that I'm going for. Okay, so yeah, that's probably a good enough answer, and you do not need to move past that. All right, now if you want my help, I can do some mock interviews for you. I can help you with the 214B as well. I do this for a lot of clients as well, who work with me one-on-one. If that's something that you would be interested in, you can go on to YMGrad.com. Again, the link is YMGrad.com, and you can go on to the services section, and over here you will find the visa interview and financial counseling service. All right, you can take a look at that. All right, and it does not take very long for us to help you with the whole DS-160, with the processed for the interview. We'll do some mock interviews for you. All right, so it completely depends on which country you're going for. We do this for a couple of countries, not just the US. But since this video is about the F1 visa interview, again, this is the page you can go ahead and check, and you can basically work with me one-on-one. Hopefully I helped you guys in this video. If you like the genuine content and the experience that I'm putting out in this video, I do that a lot on my channel, and I'd really appreciate if you could subscribe to the channel. All right, thank you so much for watching. Give me a thumbs up if you like the video, and I hope to see you in the next one.